Alright, hello Eagles fans. Welcome back to True Eagle for the first time in 2025. It has been about 100 days since I last uploaded on this channel, something like that. It has been a big break, a little bit bigger than I had intended when I said I was going to take some time off for a variety of reasons. For the record, I've done a similar video to this on the True Footy YouTube channel, which you can watch as well, where I explained that my laptop broke and, I haven't had a place to film, etc., etc. All of that is a little bit by the wayside now, and I'm back for 2025. Now, first things first, the rhythm of the uploads won't be the same as it was at first. I do intend to change that as we get a little bit into the 2025 season, but for now, first of all, I'm a little miffed that I missed out on the preseason. Of course, that's usually a great time for, general footy excitement, but also content. But nonetheless, we are back, and I'm going to give you my general thoughts on the preseason. I didn't follow it as intently. Part of me also, just needed that break from footy, but kind of also is just kind of anxious to see how it transpires, how we play in an actual game scenario. Now, we've had a little bit of a taste of that now. The closest thing we've had to a proper game was against North Melbourne last weekend or whatever it was. So I'm going to take the opportunity to cover off some thoughts I have going into this season. But for the time being, I'll try and do a preview and review each week. At the very least, I'll get one episode out a week. But I've got some plans as well on the True Footy YouTube channel, and that'll all have to be managed, and I'm still working full time. So I'll spare you all the boring details. My intention is to be able to ramp this up as the year wears on. So again, I'll apologize generally for the bigger leave of absence than I had previously intended. As I said in the True Footy video, the longer you stay away from this, the harder it is to come back. And there were genuine logistical things that I couldn't control that made this very difficult. But now I've decided to screw that. Round 1 is around the corner. We've got a game against the Gold Coast Suns. I will be in attendance, and I'm very excited by that. So let's talk about this preseason. I've kept up with it without being super involved in it. The first thing that pops to mind is Dom Sheed's done his ACL, and that sucks. I did notice I don't think we put him on the inactive list, or we did, but we didn't replace him. We have signed Sandy Brock as a key defensive prospect, and it sounds like he was training pretty well. And so I'm pleased that we got a key back option. In the background, I noticed Harry Barnett is now training as a defender. Ryan Marrick is now a defender as well, which was sort of on the cards the last time I was making content. So long story short, we now do have a number of key back options. I know Rhett Bazzo is injured. His injury is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The Eagles did release an injury list, and he should be back, I think, about a month into the season. I didn't double check that, but either way, it's not too far away, his return. So that's a first nice little box ticked. We added a key defender, which we did talk about during the off-season last year. A side note on Dom Sheed, it is sad to see him doing an ACL in a contract year, in a year where he turns 30, where he was already out of the team, and I do suspect we might have seen the last of Dom as a West Coast Eagle, and that is a shame. I think I've been saying for some time, the writing was already on the wall regardless, but Premiership hero, we all know what happened in 2018. All the best to him on his recovery, I suppose. Now, as for the preseason games themselves, they obnoxiously put the West Coast Richmond game at 9:30 on a Monday, so I had to watch the third quarter on my break, and I read summaries and watched the highlights back, and there were some good signs. Look, I think there's only so much you can take out of that game where we were up 61-7 at halftime, or they had played 3/3 or whatever. The only quarter I watched was the quarter where Richmond got some goals back, but they sent over one bloke who was over 24, and there's only so much we can take from that. But nonetheless, it is still pleasing that we put them to the sword in the way that we did, and some individuals played well. I remember Brockman played well. Elijah Hewitt kicked a nice goal. Tyrell Dewar, can I just say, get him in the team for round 1. He is looking even better than I expected him to look in the preseason of this year, and looking a little bit stronger over the ball, got great speed and skills and aerial ability. He's flying for hangers. Very excited by him as a prospect. And he's probably the first name that pops into my mind when I think of guys that have excited me this preseason. I did watch the West Coast North Melbourne game from start to finish, and I refused to get excited by the fact we won. Look, it was exciting. It was funny. It was funny that we won. I also don't know if I, upon reflection, am super critical of the fact that we gave up heaps of uncontested ball, and through periods of the game, our contested game was lacking as well. I think we caught that up from memory, and it wasn't so bad. But it did really remind me of the Tassie game where we beat North at the death. We kicked the last we kicked 12 goals in a quarter and a half to win that game. I'm sure you remember if you're an avid West Coast fan like I am. So the fact that we did it again is hilarious. It is hilarious. Even though it's a preseason game, it was still kind of funny. I don't know. I like to have a good sense of humor about football. Well, you need one when your team has been rooted to the bottom three for the last 3 years. But nonetheless, one thing that occurred to me was, while there was some discussion about how much North were controlling the footy and racking up uncontested ball, and admittedly they did miss a lot of shots, and if they kicked those, or even a little bit straighter, they'd win the game, right? But on the other hand, they also didn't do a lot with the footy. There weren't too many passages of play, particularly as the game wore on, where North Melbourne really looked like they were going to score. I think a lot of the missing in front of goal, it happened early, and sure, we were not playing well, and they probably still should have won the game. But my point being was, I think we defended fairly well, again, more so as the game went on, and we looked more dangerous in transition than, the Eagles side that I've been accustomed to seeing over the last number of years. So speed has been a feature, guys like Bo Allen and Ruben Jinby in the back line, that has been nice to see. Brockman has had a fantastic preseason, and I feel like, we saw Brockman play really well in the waffle last year, and maybe I think he did it once at AFL level last year. I'm still a little bit rusty with my memories here, but for the rest of the season, he didn't do a lot. So to see the best version of Brockman in the preseason so far has been really pleasing, and I'm excited to see that, and I'd imagine he starts in the team round one. We've seen a little bit of Owies as a new recruit. I thought Jack Graham featured quite well against North Melbourne. We were down Yo as well, and he, is an important midfield option for us as a big body in the guts there, and I think Graham, you can really see what he's going to add as well. Don't know how many posies he'll get, but he looks like an enforcer type. Liam Baker, very clean at ground level, particularly in the back half. I think he ranks really highly for defensive ground ball gets, and that is something that we obviously needed to improve on. So generally speaking, the new recruits, you can all see what they bring. I'm just intrigued to see how this all plays out in a real competitive game of football. We were sloppy, our skills weren't great, they weren't great last year, and I'd imagine we're not going to turn into this slick team. I don't think that's going to be at the forefront of our minds. The way that we're describing the way we're going to play, it's going to be a little bit ugly at times, it's going to be fast, it's going to be dynamic. I think those were the 3 words McQualter might have said: ugly, fast, dynamic. Well, we've been nailing the ugly part for years, so if we can get fast and dynamic, I'll tell you what, we're a third of the way there now. But we played true to that style, and it makes sense with the attributes of the players that we have in the team. They're fast, they're powerful, they're athletic. We do have a lot of good tools in this team. That is absolutely a fact. Waterman was great in that preseason game. Allen didn't play, did he? But no, he's still a good player. I thought Harry Edwards played well. We know what McGovern brings. The tools are good, save for maybe the rucks. That's still absolutely a work in progress. The smalls are looking pretty dynamic too as well. And I mean, smaller players like Noah Long, Brockman, as I mentioned, always will add something different. Dewar, I don't know if we consider a smaller player, but he is that outside classy finisher type player as well. So that part of our team is starting to look pretty good. It just comes back to the midfield. It really does. So we've got a few guys who could come in. Hewitt is a little bit like a new recruit. He's sore at the moment. I really hope he's available round one. We've seen some good signs from Jack Hutchinson. Didn't feature a lot in that game against North, but he looked like he was playing a lot more wing than on the ball. So I don't know how permanent that will be. We definitely need some midfield reinforcement. Yo's going to be out for the first month of the season, I think, from memory. Graham comes in, but that's not quite apples for apples there. So we'll see. That is going to be our vulnerability against the Gold Coast Suns in week 1, which I will preview properly sometime over the next week. It's a little bit hard with my schedule, but I will make that work. So overall, I'd be lying to say if I said I've been pumped. I have really taken a mental break away from footy and YouTube, generally speaking, but I'm starting to switch that gear now. We've seen our boys play competitively a couple of times now, and I'm looking forward to being there round 1 at Optus Stadium. So let me know. You guys may have followed the preseason a little bit more closely than me. Nonetheless, let me know in the comments what you guys think. That's, of course, a big part of this channel, is the contributions from you guys. I have missed you. It is great to be back. We will be back on both channels in 2025, True Eagle and True Footy, starting from now. And I'll see you guys in this coming week for a preview of West Coast versus Gold Coast. And for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Up the Eagles.